you're very educated boys. Why don't you preach this knowledge of Krishna consciousness to the English-speaking world? That was the instruction that stuck with Prabhupada. Basically, two instructions Prabhupada took with him as his heart and soul, his Vyavyasyajatmika buddhi, his only meditation. That was one. What was the second one? That basically enters into Prabhupada's heart and shapes his whole mission. If you ever get money, print books. 1935 in Radhakund, Srila Prabhupada walking with his spiritual master, and his spiritual master confining on him that some of the difficulties that was arising among some of his disciples from the big buildings, palatial, marble temples that he had made. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta say, better to take all that marble apart and sell it and print books. If you ever get money, print books. And that stayed with Prabhupada, enters in his heart and shaped his whole purpose in life. So even Prabhupada, during the time that he took sannyas in 1959, before that, his focus, he started to print BTG magazine and go and distribute himself. You read in Prabhupada Lilamrita at the beginning how Prabhupada would take so much effort, basically, and almost in obscurity, trying to distribute his BTG magazine. And we see some of the, back in 1955, that was before him taking sannyas. He took sannyas in 1959, Srila Prabhupada. And during his grihastha time, his business had completely failed. So he was mostly, as a vanaprastha in those times, focusing on establishing a society of Krishna consciousness with the heart of that society will be based on books and taking these books to others. He was, he was busy also translating the Bhagavad Gita commentaries and also the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And some of the things that, letters that he tried to get together with some of his God brothers to push this vision of books, book distribution. In my opinion, we should print more than 1,000 copies every month and distribute them in large scale. It is expected that all intelligent men will join this spiritual movement for a total reformation. This propaganda work is part of the Sankirtan Yagya recommended for people of this age. This is almost paraphrasing the Yagyai Sankirtan Priyaya, that verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam that says that those who have good intelligence, Sumedha Saha, who worship the personality of Godhead by the Sankirtan Yagya. So he sees the Sankirtan Yagya, this mass book distribution, is basically broadcasting the knowledge of Krishna consciousness to as many people as you can reach. So that is the vision, coming from Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, coming from Vyasadeva itself, to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, the great visionary of Krishna consciousness, passing down to Srila Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada comes to the West, following the instruction of his spiritual master. And we know the story. He started to attract some followers. And in the beginning, Prabhupada was just happy to have his followers just give up sinful activities and just take up to the purification and the activities of Krishna consciousness, chanting, associating, hearing. And, but he always was expecting, constantly. I mean, we're going to read some of the letters. This was in 1966, but this was sent to someone in India. Actually, still the movement was very, very new during those times. And constantly putting that message of how important it is to distribute the books. So in my absence, I wish that you may take charge of selling books in India. Please let me know if there is any possibility of you taking such charge. So far, my experience is concerned, these publications can be introduced in all colleges and universities in India. So constantly this message. So he was basically throughout just encouraging his disciples. Here's another one. He writes to Kirtanananda Maharaj, at that time Kirtanananda, at what time that was, Kirtanananda does. I'm very much anxious for sale of my books. It has to be organized. Please think over this matter. If books are not properly sold, how can I print so many books? Let Pradunya help me in selling the books. So, Srila Prabhupada, how he came to the West. He came basically with 40 rupees and a trunk full of books. And that's how he used to survive himself, by selling his books. He was selling it himself, and as followers comes, he was expecting the followers to actually, he was trying to inspire them to actually help him, assist them in this task, which was nothing else but the mission that his spiritual master had given him. So, that was throughout the 60s, the beginning of the Krishna conscious movement. And disciples were trying very hard. But the break came during 1968, that there was already a printing press in Boston, and they were printing the BTG magazine. Sasru Maharaj was sort of in charge of that, and devotees started to go into the parks with the chanting parties, and at the same time they were distributing BTG's magazines. And then they discovered that they're starting to get some funds to maintain the temples for that. Because it always was a struggle to maintain the temples. Hello? Like, we're still, even discussing that matter, right now in many of our centers. How are we going to maintain this? We don't have, it's always the financial discussions, creep into our temple management. Same thing. But the devotees discovered that they were able to maintain themselves just by going out, just like Prabhupada did, going into the parks, sit down or chant, and then distribute BTG magazines. And they were able to collect. So Prabhupada writes during that time when that started to happen.